Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Brandwatch Vizia, Next Generation Social Command Center. Thank you for joining us, and please allow me to turn it over to our hosts, Glenn and Jasmine.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining us. As Drew says, today we're going to talk to you about our new product, Brandwatch Vizia. Just a few things before we get started. So I'm Jasmine Jean, I'm a Product Marketing Manager at Brandwatch.
And my name is Glenn White, I'm Product Manager here at Brandwatch and Product Manager on Vizia.
So a few housekeeping things first. Obviously social media is all about engaging and getting involved, so if you want to ask any questions throughout the presentation, then please feel free to do so in the chat box. We'll then have a Q&A section at the end. If you'd like to tweet us, you can at Brandwatch or #Brandwatch, and we'll respond to you there as well. Obviously, if you just want to listen in and don't want to speak to us, then feel free to do that as well. After this session, we'll be making a copy of the presentation and the webinar recording available within a couple of days. So we're going to give you a quick introduction to Brandwatch for those who don't know that much about us. Then we're going to talk about the future of data visualizations and how we came about creating Brandwatch Vizia. So they're going to give you an overview of the product and some of its key features, and then we'll give you a live demo to show you it in action. And then we'll have the Q&A section, as I said. So a little bit about Brandwatch. For those of you who don't know, we're a SaaS company and we provide social media monitoring and analytics solutions. We currently service over 1,000 brands all over the world. We've got 130 employees and we have offices in the UK, US and in Germany. We crawl the web in over 25 languages. And then up until now, our first product has been Brandwatch Analytics, which is a social media monitoring platform, which allows brands and agencies to analyze conversation about their brands, their competitors, topics they're interested in, and use a wide range of features to analyze and really dive into that data.
I guess it's important to say as well at this point that this product we've been working on for this analytics product we've been working on for the last 7 years, and we've used all that knowledge we've learned from there and built that into Vizia. So it kind of built on top of everything we've been doing up until now. So with that in mind, I want to talk about the future of data visualizations and kind of where all this came about from. So at Brandwatch, we have quite a pedigree of making amazing data visualizations, things that really kind of bring data to life. So I wanted to kind of show a couple of examples of those just to kind of show what we're about. So this is a data visualization we made for Eurovision earlier this year. And this is kind of showing you how during the event conversation changed and what the conversations were about for each country, and that's what the different colors they represent. And this visualization was one you could dive into and kind of explore, and you can go look on our website if you want to see more about it. But this showed us you can make data really really sexy and really kind of bring it to life, more so than just a few pie charts in a web tool. This is another visualization we made to predict the Oscars this year. And this is important to us for a couple of reasons. One, we use social data to predict the Oscars, and we got 15 out of 18 right, which is better than any of the analysts out there. But also showed that if you present data in the right way, you can make it really interesting for people to look at and explore and find out more about. So this showed us that we can marry social data with really good data visualizations to really bring stuff to life. And we know this as well from working with our clients. So this is a set of visualizations we created with one of our partners, MediaCom. This is a set of boards we did last year for the Olympics. So you can see on the left, it's kind of showing conversations that may happen, which sponsors are getting talked about the most. On the right, topics as they happen. And it was really interesting to see we had one of these set up in our office, and the amount of attention it drew from staff and clients that came in and seeing this conversation, and actually it became a great source of understanding the Olympics as they were happening. And what we found from this is that there was a great need and great desire for having these kind of visualizations and having them more across your company and having better access to them. So we talk to our clients all the time as part of our development process, and we listened to what they were saying, and people were saying to us they wanted to make data simple to understand. The Brandwatch Analytics is great and has great power and flexibility and is easy to get into, but we wanted to make it easier for other people in the organization to really get into that data and understand it, because ultimately you want to share that insight across your entire business. It's not enough that it's locked inside a few teams here and there. You want everyone to have access to social data, because really we know that when you have access to this real-time data, you can make real-time decisions. It's not good enough to kind of have to wait a month before you get a report from someone in the analyst team to tell you something that is a month too late. So therefore, as well, it needs to be highly visible. This needs to be something that everyone can see and have access to and be a part of, not just something that's limited to those that have access to a specific tool or access to certain reports. And really importantly, it had to be powerful and flexible. And we pride ourselves on the sort of flexibility we provide in Brandwatch Analytics, and we want to extend that into this other product. So when we thought about this a bit more, and we sort of thought, well, what would our dream product be that would represent all those ideas, that would bring all that to life? And we sort of focused on these three things really. They're flexible, multi-screen, and remote control. So to talk about those three things in a little bit more detail, flexibility and why that's important to us. We realized with a lot of these data visualizations that they're kind of static and don't do much. We wanted something that would change with your data, but also that you could update and change with you. We wanted something that really had that power and flexibility that Brandwatch has to customize things. So customize the data and customize the visualizations to go with it. Wanted to be multi-screen. So it's great having these big screens up on the wall to really make this data come alive, and that's something we really encourage with this product. But it was more than that for us. We wanted multi-screen to represent lots of screens and displays around the world for organizations on not just big screens on the wall, though, on their tablets and their phones and their desktops and their laptops. We wanted this to be a visualization product that they can access anywhere, because ultimately that's what you need to make this insight really matter. And finally, remote control. What I mean by that is the ability to change things, and change things from wherever you are. We found with a lot of other tools out there, a lot of other applications that did these kind of visualizations, they were like a one-shot type of deal. You kind of create something custom, you put it up for an event, and then afterwards it's done, it's disposable. But we wanted to create something that you could change yourself and control, but also that you could change centrally. You don't want to have to go to every installation or every office around the world every time you want to change a visualization or change what's in it. So we wanted to make something that anyone, any part of a team could control and change what visualizations were shown elsewhere. And those are three things that really mattered to us, and we thought about a lot when we were designing Vizia. And really that's then what made us come up with this product, Brandwatch Vizia, which Jasmine will tell you a bit more about now.
Yeah, so Brandwatch Vizia is a data visualization product. It's sort of a reimagining of first generation social media command centers. We've all seen in the past few years brands like Dell and Gatorade have these big command centers, sort of big screens in a room with a social media team tracking what's going on. We wanted to sort of take that idea and then expand on it and make something, as Glenn says, much more flexible and configurable, so it can be useful with different types of use cases, not just the social media team with a sort of physical room. And of course, as we said, it's powered by our flagship social media monitoring platform and is built on all that power that we've already developed. Due to its flexibility, it's got quite a lot of different use cases, and we think it can be used for lots of different uses. But here are some of the key ones, and I'll talk through those now. So executive business insights. We found lots of the clients already implementing Vizia, putting the big screens in their CEO's office or in their boardroom, so that their management and their board can get a really good top-line overview of all the key analytics and KPIs that are going on and can track things in real time. There's also the ability to send messages to screens, which we'll talk about a bit more in a minute, but that allows teams to communicate with their board and with their management and let them know what's going on. It also can be used for campaign monitoring. So due to all the categories and the filters that are included in Vizia, you can track specific things. If you're running a campaign and you want to track conversations specifically about that campaign, you can do so in real time. So your marketing team can have these screens up and watch how the conversation is changing, what the sentiment is towards the campaign, the topics of conversation, and then act on that and change the campaign as necessary. And the same goes for security and crisis management. Another feature we've got that we'll talk about during the demo is events, which allows screens to change automatically according to changes in your data. This is a really good way of seeing emerging topics and trends to try and stay on top of any potential security risks or crises. Real-time marketing is really popular with brands at the moment, and seeing real-time social data allows you to understand what people are talking about, what topics are emerging and trending, and then take advantage of that and dive into that conversation and get involved. It also allows you to have these screens at things like events, so you could have data about that event going on and track it in real time. And of course, there's the traditional social hub or command center, the sort of physical room with the screens where your social team can keep track of social data. But we think that due to the flexibility, it could also be used for other teams as well. For example, your product development team could look and have information about product feedback, or your customer service team can keep track of customer service conversation online and act on that.
I think that's the important thing to know with this is that when we looked around at the market, we found a lot of products that met that use case, that command center use case, but then weren't addressing all of these other issues as well, these other things that people needed visualizations for. And we also thought they weren't even addressing the command center thing well enough. If you have a team that's dedicated to looking at this data, they understand it better than anyone. So they should be the ones controlling the visualizations around the rest of the organization. And the product we built allows those teams, if you have that kind of setup, to do that. So not only are they able to understand the data and see it themselves, but they can spread that message across the entire company even easier than they've ever been able to.
So Vizia is built of different visualizations, which we call scenes. So we've got a library of scenes available, and we'll go through them in a bit more detail during the demo. But just to give you a sort of overview of the kind of scenes available, and you can see in the top left here, this is our tile scene, which really shows KPIs and key analytics, and so it gives you a good overview of your conversation about your brand and your competitors. The top right hand you can see is a trending category, so this is what the conversation is about, what topics are emerging, what people are talking about. The bottom left corner we can see this is a globe that shows real-time tweets and shows where in the world that conversation is coming from. And the bottom right is sentiment, so you can compare the sentiment of that conversation about your brand to your competitors and see how it's changing over time. We've also got two other scenes that we think are really important because they allow you to bring in third-party feeds to your setup. So on the right-hand side here, we've got our video scene. This allows you to bring in any YouTube or Vimeo videos or playlists, and you can have those on loop and have them on rotation. So for example, if you wanted to show your latest ad campaign or a video you've been working on or something that's particularly topical, you can have that as part of your setup. And on the left-hand side, we can see this is our URL scene, which at the moment is bringing in a breaking news website. This allows you to bring in any URL though, so you can have a news feed or your website or corporate homepage, or even visualizations from elsewhere or visualizations that you built yourself. So you can integrate those into your setup.
And that was something that was really important to us when making this, because we know we make great visualizations and we'll continue to develop and create more scenes for you to use, but we wanted you to have the flexibility to bring in those other visualizations that maybe you've created yourself, or use other people's that they've created and bring those in. Or even sometimes you might just want to highlight a particular mention, a breaking news story, and put it front and center and bring it in. And that was something that was really important to us when developing this, that we wanted it to be more than just the visualizations we created.
And the great thing about Vizia is that it's built for your brand. So we'll work with you to customize your themes and your colors and your logo to make it feel like it was built for your business and feel like it's your brands.
And we have a lot of other kind of custom visuals and things that we can work out with different brands to make it really feel like it's yours and feel like your brand.
We'll go into the admin side in a minute, but this gives you a quick overview of what it looks like. So it's really easy and simple to use, and you can change things on the fly whenever you like. As Glenn mentioned earlier, it's remote control, so you can control it from wherever, and you can send messages to your displays from your laptop or your phone or your tablet or any other computer. You can also set up events, as I mentioned, to change your displays automatically. And there's also a permission structure, so you can really control who can see what, who can edit different things, and who can see different displays.
So now we're going to jump into a demo, show this thing in action, kind of explain some of the stuff we've been talking about, and really kind of bring it home. So I'm going to load up here. I've got a globe that I'm going to load up. Show you quickly it kind of loads in. So this is the globe scene that Jasmine was talking about earlier. This is bringing in tweets as they happen in real time. So these are all related to Coca-Cola. And then what happens as a new tweet comes in, the globe rotates to that mention where it's come from. Something that was really important to us for this, that we wanted the visualization to be animated and to be changing. So this data here is all coming from Brandwatch and can be customized however you want. And up here you can change the name of the headline, change it to whatever you like. So see, as I mentioned, comes in, the globe changes around to show you where that's coming from. And there's a small level of interaction as well. So as these mentions are coming in, I can grab the globe and move it around and kind of look at a particular area and see how many mentions there have been in the last few minutes going on there. This is really important to us. We really see scenes as kind of telling the story of your data. But we also want that flexibility that Brandwatch provides. So this data feed on the right can be customized in Brandwatch to show whatever query you want to show, filter it down. You could just show negative conversation if you wanted to, just to see where the negative comments are going on, just show customer complaints, whatever you like really, you can customize that stuff. And it's really simple and easy to do. And you'll notice it's in our this is our Brandwatch theming, our Brandwatch branding, but you could color this and theme it however you like. So it really has that kind of level of flexibility. To show you another scene and talk you through how it works a bit, it's that tile scene that we talked about earlier. So this at the moment is a set of 9 tiles you'll see, and I've kind of set it up to be 3 columns showing 3 different brands with the same sort of thing for each, but actually it's much more flexible than that. You could just show one particular tile or 9. There's lots of different types of them, so I've just got topics and a history tile here showing things over time, and change all the brands. If I wanted to, I could have just 9 different topic clouds for all kinds of different brands for different date ranges. It really is very powerful, but also looks beautiful, is animated and is changing over time. You'll see as it flips around, it's showing mentions, it's showing data behind that visualization on the front. We wanted to give you that macro level, that overview of what's happening, how things are changing, but also show you that micro level as well, to give you that context. So as these tiles flip around, it shows you the important mentions behind that data on the front. So we're using some of our metrics, our algorithms, to work out which conversations we think are most important, so we can then show you those every now and then on the back. And this keeps animating, changing, and updates across the day, so you can understand how your data is changing. And this can be customized, and I'll go into that in a bit more in a sec. Obviously, we're doing a screen share here. I'm doing a live demo. I wasn't able to show you what a full TV screen setup might be like, so I had one of our tech team mock it up in a browser. So to give you an idea of how one of these setups might look and how these scenes might look next to each other and complement each other, I've got this 4-screen setup that I've created. So here again, you'll see that tile scene I was just demoing to you, and you'll see it ticking up there as new data comes in. You see this globe moving and changing, still showing data as it comes in from around the world. The bottom left here is a scene I haven't really spoken about much. This is a sentiment scene. It's showing sentiment across the day by hour for different brands and previous days as well, to give you that context. You can then see how the sentiment, the net sentiment here, which is telling you the difference between positive and negative for the last hour. This is great, and again, just like this tile scene, you customize, show 1 brand, 2 brands, 3 brands, and change all the data behind it, which gives a sort of really powerful flexibility to it. And this bottom right at the moment, I'm just feeding in the Coca-Cola homepage just to show you that it's very easy just to feed something simple like that, which is very useful. But for example, if I wanted to change this to another visualization I've created, I could just do that instantly on the fly. So Jasmine is on a laptop next to me, and she's controlling these things completely separate from admin section. So she's going to change this now, so that instead of showing that homepage, it's going to show a different tile setup that I've created. So if I wanted to track a Coke campaign, and I've set up some queries and some stuff in Brandwatch, it's now going to show that Coke campaign in here and show a couple of tiles that are going to represent the top sites and the sentiment behind that, the volume over time before that, and it will load in the sort of mentions that have, how many mentions there have been of that campaign. And it's really useful because it allows you to, as you see, to customize this kind of visualization to make it work in the way that really suits your brand and your needs. And you can create these really quickly on the fly, so you don't just have to rely on pre-set up ones that we've got. Another important feature that we wanted to have in this is the ability to kind of add in messages, to be able to send alerts around the organization about this stuff. So for example, I've got, I could send a pop-up to one of these displays. So I could send a pop-up just to this bottom left screen here that was going to show a message. So I could get Jasmine to send that through now. There's a pop-up that's come through saying alert, hoping that you enjoy the webinar. So you can send that to one of these displays, or we could send a message to multiple displays. And we have another type of message as well, which is a ticker message. So rather than just sending that pop-up message, I can send a tick-up message across all the screens like this, and now each of them has a ticker. And again, I have that flexibility to send a ticker just to one screen or multiple, and the same with the pop-up. This is really important to us because it allows you to kind of add that human annotation to the visualization. So if there was a spike in conversation that you then looked into as a team and you wanted to tell people not to worry about it or give them more information, you could send this message to go with it, and it will then appear on these screens. But there's another layer beyond that. This is all kind of me showing you how you can manually change and edit what's being shown and kind of customize these visualizations yourself. But you can do it automatically as well. We have this functionality that just mentioned earlier called events, which allows you to set up kind of criteria and thresholds up front, which will then change these displays. So for example, I might have had a setup that says if there's an increase of negative mentions by 500%, I need to change this globe to a different scene, I want to change these tiles to a different scene, more related to negative sentiment. I then want to show a ticker message across all the displays saying negative sentiment issue detected. And I can even trigger an audio alert with that to bring people's attention. So that combination of both manual and automatic annotation allows you to really make something really bespoke that suits your needs and works with what you have. And it's important to note, I've got this set up here just so you kind of what it might feel like to have 4 screens up on a wall. But these displays work anywhere on any device, and they all update together. So this globe I could have open on an iPad at the same time as having it on a big screen or on my laptop. And any change that a controller makes to that particular scene is going to reflect on every single one of those devices. So it really lets you kind of almost have a social TV of what's going on with your brand and share that across an organization. And these kind of displays could be in different places, so I can control them all from the same place. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the admin section kind of behind this, show you kind of a bit more how easy it really is to customize these things. So this tile and stuff at the bottom right I've got here, I'm gonna make a change to it like we did earlier. So this is our admin section, and you'll see there's 4 boxes here, each representing those boxes I was just looking at. Now I've named them myself to top right and top left to make it easy to kind of remember which is which. And you can see the icons on that represent the data visualizations they're showing. So if I wanted to go to this bottom right one, you can see it's showing that tile scene that we had up just now. And if I remove this, I can replace it and I can create something from scratch, or I can choose from the kind of preset library I've already been building up. So the homepage one, for example. Hit select, it's going to load up in there. If I go back to my visualization, you'll see it's changed already. And it changed quicker than I can even get back to that tab. So you can see how real time you can be with this and how quickly you can change these visualizations as they're showing. And show you how quick it is to edit as well. If I wasn't creating exactly from scratch, I wanted to customize something more. This globe, for example, I could go into it and edit it. And perhaps I don't want to show Coke anymore, I want to show something with Pepsi. I could create a new globe, or I could just edit this one. So I'm going to change this now to about Pepsi tweets. I'm going to change this query in Brandwatch to a Pepsi one and hit save. I could add in filters as well if I wanted to limit it to just certain parts of data. And you see instantly it's updated. It's now bringing in some information about Pepsi. It's changing out here to Pepsi tweets, and it's going to bring that data in. So that was really quick, really easy to customize, and I'll change it back later. You can also have multiple visualizations showing and kind of cycle through them. So as you saw earlier, that homepage and that tile scene, they might both be about the same campaign. And so now I'm going to add in that scene again. You can now see there's these 2 scenes on here, and now they're set to rotate every 10 seconds. So if we watch this now, every 10 seconds it's going to jump between each visualization. Obviously you can make that a longer period of time to make it so easier to see what's going on all the time. But this means it's really easy to kind of change between visualizations, show multiple things at once. Which is great if you've only got a single display like an iPad, but you still want to show lots of rich, different visualizations and represent something. And that's very extensible. You can show as many visualizations as you like there, as many external ones and internal ones. And we think that's something that's very powerful. And if I go back here, I'm just going to show you that tile scene I kept talking about and saying how expansive it was. So this is the competitor tiles I talked about. There's 3 columns, and you can see here in this admin section here is each of the tiles I created. And if I were to edit one of them, you can dive in, you can see how you can name the tile. There's a whole list of different types of tiles you can add in. change the queries or multiple queries, change the date range. It's a whole host of Brandwatch filters that really get that data down to what you need. And this is something that's then really flexible, and you can have one of these tiles or multiple tiles. When you hit save, it's going to go and update that in real time to be exactly what you've customized. And you can create stuff from scratch as well. So I'm not going to create one from scratch today, but you can add any of these particular types of tiles, customize them, change the filters, change the queries, change even parts of the visualization, as you've seen with that tile scene automatically. And finally, messaging. It really is that simple. You can open up a messaging section we have. I could type an important message in here, set it as a ticker across all my screens, hit send. When I go back, it's going to appear on all these screens at once. So it's very quick, very flexible, and reacts instantly, because we know this data has to be updated quickly and update in real time. So this is really just the beginning for us. We think this is an amazing new product, and we're really excited to have it out there finally for people to use and put in the real world. But we're going to continue to develop more visualizations, add in more features to make this more extensible and be able to do more things with it. So hopefully that gives you just a taste of kind of the power this has, and you're starting to think already about the setups you can have around your company and in different offices and stuff. So I guess now we'll go over some questions and kind of go through some of that. So if you have any questions at all, put them in the chat box on there, we'll answer them now.
Okay, so just working through the questions as they come in. One person has asked, will this be included for current white label customers?
So this is a brand new product from us, and as such it has its own separate set of pricing. If you contact your sales representative, they will go through that with you. It will, however, be built on top of the data you already have, so you won't have to necessarily create new queries or anything. You can use that data you've got, but it is a new product from us that you have to sort of subscribe to separately.
Is the monitoring with the globe only for tweets?
It's a good question. So at the moment we're only using tweets for the globe, and the reason for that is twofold really. Is that a lot of other social networks aren't as real time. You know, we at Brandwatch, we cover the entire web, we cover blogs and forums and other social networks, and often those aren't as updated as frequently as Twitter. So the globe wasn't moving as quickly. Also with Twitter, we can get very specific with location down to the individual mention, which is harder to do on, say, forums, which have less information available to us. So it will expand over time as we expand and change our data, and we add in more sources, and we think that the data is real time with good enough location data to add in. So for now it's just Twitter, but that will expand over time.
Regarding countries, I've seen mentions of different countries show up in the USA, for example, if it comes from Facebook or Twitter, how we can get info from the user country.
It's a good question. We're always looking to improve our location information. So location online is very difficult to do. It's kind of fuzzy, right? Because when you think about location a bit more, you start thinking about, well, there's the place the person mentioned from, maybe Twitter. There's where the person actually lives. There's the topic they're talking about. There's the person they're talking to. There's lots of different bits of location information we could take. So we try to do it as best as possible and get that location of where that mention's from. But it's sometimes quite difficult. It's easier in some places than others. And even on Twitter, it can be quite difficult when people set their time zones wrong and put their bio as the moon. We have to deal with that kind of information. So we do our best. We think our accuracy is pretty good with location stuff for Twitter. If you have any particular problems that you've seen, then send them through to the team and they'll have a look. But we do our best where possible to have as the best location information we can provide.
Someone's asking, as it's real time, is 24/7 manning needed to get maximum value from it?
That's a good question. No, we're not actually. It really depends on the use case you want to use this in your business for. You might just want to have something that you can put up in a lobby that kind of shows up your latest ad campaigns, shows conversation happening around the world in a really interesting way that people and clients can, as they come in, are going to be impressed by and find interesting. You can set this up in a way where you have someone 24/7, maybe hopefully not one person, but sitting there kind of watching visualization, watching this stuff come in, watching this data. But it really depends on what you need in your business. So I think there is a use case that says you might want 24-hour monitoring on your brand and using these visualizations for that, and it might be that you don't. The tiles themselves, actually, as one of the scenes that we're looking at there, is quite flexible, and you can set it for older date ranges as well as new ones. So you don't have to be using it for just real-time monitoring. You can just be using it to monitor things over a longer period of time.
Someone's asked about the URL scene. If you can put in a URL that requires a login, such as a Google Analytics dashboard, and then make it save it so that you don't have to log in every time it loads.
It's a good question. So we're not storing any login information, obviously. We don't want to tackle that element of security, of having to store usernames and passwords for third-party apps. Now, if you're doing this thing remotely and you load up one of those things, it's going to ask for the login, as you know, if you went on the website. Now, you can just log in if you have access to that computer as well, and those apps will then work often. It is possible that a website can block this kind of third-party putting in data like we do, and some websites do, but not many. For example, you couldn't say put Twitter in there, but we have other ways of doing that. So login stuff is slightly limited in some ways, but there's a few ways around it as well. You can locally run scripts to log into those things. So there are ways around it, but it's important to us that we don't want to be storing login information for certain websites and have that kind of potential security risk for your business. So it is something that you can tackle and can do.
Sort of depends on the site.
It does. It depends completely on the site. Different sites serve different ways.
Next question is, are there any engagement features?
Good question. So not at the moment. We focused first on creating beautiful visualizations, things that really express the data well. There's some light interaction there, and we want to move it into being something that's more interactive and you can understand more. But engagement's a kind of separate issue for us, and we're working with a number of partners at the moment. Some we'll be announcing more of later in the coming months, I think, actually, that will tackle engagement more. This product is much more about visualizations and expressing data across the enterprise.
I've got another question asking, is this for Twitter only? I don't know if that's referring to the globe again.
So no, it's not just for Twitter only. The globe particularly is for Twitter only, just because of the level of location data and real-time data that we have on there. We'll extend that to other networks that we find that have similar characteristics. But the rest of those visualizations, you saw like the sentiment one, the tiles one, they're using all of the Brandwatch data, so blogs, forums, Facebook, Twitter, all the kind of networks and websites that we cover.
And someone's asked, is this limited by language, which kind of ties into that?
No, and we use all the different data from Brandwatch. So if you have another language query set up in Brandwatch, you can pull that information in. And we've tried to make these scenes fairly language-free, and because you can customize them. So the globe you saw earlier, you can customize that header, so you could write it in the right language for you. We'd put in the mentions, the right language for you. So it's going to work straight out of the box in multiple languages.
And we track 25 languages within the analytics platform, so cover most major. Someone's asked what other tiles exist other than the ones we've shown.
Good question. There's quite a few. So there's topics, there's a history thing over time, sentiment over time, mentions, top categories, top sites, top authors, and a couple others that I can't remember off the top of my head. There's quite a few, and we're adding more all the time to kind of extend the kind of capabilities of that scene to show more types of information in different ways. There's also flexibility at a higher level when you sign up and you kind of get involved to customize some of those things slightly. So if you don't want it to be an area chart over a line chart, there's kind of some freedom there to kind of change that flexibility. But
it covers most of the main components that we have within.
Yeah, it covers the main kind of use cases we found for using Brandwatch, and as I say, we'll extend some of that stuff over time.
So someone's asking how queries are built. So this is more related to our Brandwatch analytics platform, but they've asked, do they provide keywords or entities? How does that work?
So I don't want to go too much into our query building because it's quite extensive. We have a huge range of Boolean operators. We can write long search strings to really nail down the data you want, and you can nail that down by keywords, by the type of page that it appears on, by the website it's on, the people that are saying it, kind of all kinds of different ways of breaking down your data and writing that out. We're actually going to have a webinar in a few weeks' time, I think, that goes into more about how you write queries of Brandwatch and the level of and how extensible they are and all the different ways of using them. If you want to know more, though, have a look on our blog or talk to us separately.
We also have a channels feature which allows you to track owned media profiles without admin rights. If you want to track your Facebook or your Twitter account or your competitor's Facebook account, you can compare those side by side. Someone's asking if Italian is covered, and the answer is yes.
Yes.
Someone's asked what is needed besides the screen to run the visualizations.
Good question. So it runs in browsers. This whole Vizia Pro runs in a browser. We recommend using some of the latest browsing technology because some of the things we use is fairly cutting edge. So if you're using the latest Chrome, Firefox, or Internet Explorer, you should be fine. If you're going back to like IE6 or something, you might struggle, but using the latest browser technology. In terms of the computer that you need to run it, it really depends. It's fairly low. I don't want to go into the specifications, and it depends. We've seen setups where you have one box running 6 screens at once. You can run one box to one screen. It runs on an iPad. I think it runs on iPad Gen 1 as well as 2 and 3, and runs on Android phones and things as well. So the spec's fairly low for it. You want a decent internet connection as well to make sure you're getting all that data in, but it doesn't need anything too powerful. As long as you're running current browser technology, you should be fine.
Someone's asked whether we would consider replacing the current dashboard in Brandwatch Analytics with this way of visualizing data.
That's interesting. We see them as quite separate and distinct things, really. The Brandwatch app itself, Brandwatch Analytics, and the dashboards there are very much for kind of exploring data, diving into data, breaking up in new ways, and there's kind of a huge range of flexibility of charting in there that isn't really what we're using Vizia for. Although I could see some teams and some people rather using Brandwatch Vizia rather than the analytics, and other teams using analytics. And the great thing is the analytics platform powers Vizia. So for example, you could set up a globe scene that when people star information in Brandwatch and favorite it, it appears in that globe then. You can set things up so that when someone's tagging conversations, maybe as customer issues, those are going to appear in the tile scene. So they both work together, and I think they have their use cases, and different teams will use them for different reasons.
Someone's asking whether one of the panels was picking trends around your brand, which I assume is the topic category roles.
Oh right, yeah. So that was kind of our category bubble thing at the moment is you kind of define the conversations that you're interested in. You define how you want to bucket that conversation up. So you might want to bucket it into, if you're a broadband company, you might want to have, speed issues or customer issues or subscription or pricing or competitors or whatever that breakdown is. And then over time, it kind of shows you how that conversation is changing by the bubbles moving around to show change in sentiment or trending or the size of conversation as the days go by. So there is kind of trending stuff in there.
It's worth noting if you want a sort of more in-depth look at any of the scenes, then contact us and we can set up a one-to-one demo and talk you through those things in a bit more depth. Does it support Foursquare or other presence apps?
Good question, and we do cover Foursquare as part of Brandwatch data, so we have that data in there. That wasn't in the globe scene you saw. We're just focusing on Twitter, although a fair amount of people using Foursquare will tweet that data as well, and that would appear in there. But the Foursquare data we collect is used in all the data that we have as visualizations as well.
Someone's asking what language sentiment mechanism supports. So that's all 25 languages that we cover, all fully supported in sentiment and topic analysis.
Yeah, and that should cover most needs. I think that's like the top 20 languages used worldwide and more.
And does this create reports we can act on as well as watching things happen in real time?
So reporting isn't something we're focusing on at the moment with this. It's a separate product that we're looking at creating at the moment. It's something that we're developing separately to this. We'll have more to say about it probably closer to next year. This at the moment is very much about live visualizations, making things more live and easy to see. We think reporting is important, but we wanted to make something that people can act on now and not have to wait for kind of reports to be sent through and read. But I do think there's something in that. But I'd also encourage people to look at maybe there's something in customizing these visualizations, changing visualizations, having a kind of almost TV channel people could watch rather than just reading a report all the time, because we found the engagement levels that we get from customers using this is much higher, and they get much more buy-in from other parts of the organization. But there's still a place for that reporting, and that's why our dashboard product is very important.
Yeah, it's probably worth noting that most of our clients will be using the Brandwatch Analytics platform to do their reporting rather than Vizia.
Yeah, and maybe it's worth noting the Brandwatch Analytics platform is a requirement as part of using Vizia to have that, have the data.
Can you change the fonts?
Good question. A tentative yes. So we're looking at a range of font options that you'll have to change, but it really depends. I mean, one thing I didn't really show is that these visualizations are designed to scale. So the tile scene, for example, if you were to put it on a landscape display like a phone or a tablet, it would resize and reshape to match that. So it would show 2 columns instead of 3 and kind of designed to be fluid, designed to be responsive. So when you add in different fonts, that adds complication to it. So we have some fonts we're looking at, and if you have anything particular, then raise it and we'll have a look. But
do we also intend to sell hardware with the package?
not at the moment. We're looking to partner with some people to supply hardware, and we'll obviously have a sort of minimum recommended spec. It's something we've thought about and we're sort of playing with, but there's nothing to announce at the moment.
How do brands justify and measure ROI from the insight your tools provide?
It's a question. I mean, it really depends on the brand and what they're kind of interested in. We have some brands that use things like sentiment and changing sentiment from negative to positive as a way of judging the value of their sort of output. So using something like this allows them to monitor that up to the minute and understand that. Other people are running campaigns and they want to be able to understand, is that campaign effective or not? So by using tools like this, they can monitor how that campaign changes over time and at what point they should up their spend or lower their spend. And again, it's another way of understanding where your customers are. Ultimately, if your customers are on Twitter and they're talking and complaining about your brand or praising your brand, it's a way of understanding that and measuring it that you otherwise wouldn't understand. But I think the ROI question is a much bigger question and can be answered by any one tool or application, which is why we're building a suite that we have here and also requires human input, human analysis. If you want to talk more about that kind of ROI side of things, do get in touch with us. We can go into more detail.
We've also got several articles on our blog, if you go to our website, that are about social media ROI and working through that. Is it possible to change sentiment manually?
Absolutely. So we believe in giving people the power to customize their data. So out of the box, we provide sentiment analysis that we run ourselves, and that works and is pretty accurate. You can then create automatic rules yourself to customize sentiment to fit your brand. We've worked with lots of different brands over time, and obviously you're going to have slang and words that mean good or bad things for your brand that wouldn't for others. And you can set up those things automatically, but also you can do it manually as well. So if you really want to, if you want to change something, you want to make it really bespoke, you can do that as well. So we have a full gamut of options available for sentiment to customize it to really be as accurate as it can be for your brand.
So someone's asking about customizing colors. So I think when you sign up for Vizia, we'll create a theme with you. So we'll create those colors for you, but you can decide to have multiple themes if you want to, in addition to the default.
Yeah, and it's a total kind of consultative kind of approach. You know, we'll take a lead from you on what you want it to sort of look like and be like, and work with you on what's possible and the parameters you've got. But there's really a huge amount you can do with it. It's pretty flexible, and the people who work already, there's a big different look and feel for each brand and each company we work with.
Someone's asking, is it possible to create view-only dashboards to share with our clients? I'm not sure if that's for analytics or Vizia. Maybe on.
Yeah, so for analytics, yes, it is. We could tell you more about that another time. For this, Vizia has a kind of whole permission section I didn't go into much detail on, where you can set some users to be able to do everything I was doing, editing stuff, sending messages, changing the scenes, customizing them. But you can also have other users that can only view what's being displayed, and you can then just send them a link, you know, to one of those displays. They'll have it up there, and they can't do anything with it. So you have the option to then change it. So that gives you that flexibility to kind of show clients information and customize what they see without them being able to change it themselves.
Is it possible to build custom panels using third-party APIs?
Yeah, completely. So that's one thing that's really important to us at the moment, is that you can build a custom visualization outside of everything that we have here and bring it in with that URL scene. And we already have clients doing this. We have a few partners already that are using our visualizations, augmenting them with their own as well, and bringing those in to really kind of expand the visualization options we have here. We also, when you sign up and talk to us, we have a range of options available for customizing the visualizations, building new scenes, and working with you. We're also building more scenes over time. An ambition for us really going forward is that we really want at some point to expand the third-party integration even further and let people kind of build their own things that we then even greater embed into the system. But that's more to come in the future. For now, we think, quite a powerful and flexible system for it.
So this is a two-part question. So the first is, when will this software be available? And the answer to that is now. We launched Vizia on the 18th of September, so get in touch if you want to talk about getting set up. And secondly, can it work on multiple computers?
Yeah, it can. I mean, that's one of the great things about it, because it's all browser-based. everything can be running on a different computer and different browser. So if you think back to those 4 little screens I showed you earlier, each of those could be running on a different computer, and the admin section could as well, in different parts of the world, and they're all still going to interact and work with each other. It all works over the internet or in the cloud, so you don't have to have this on just one device.
And similarly, you can have the same display showing on multiple computers at once.
Yeah, which is great because, you know, think of having a lobby. You might have lots of offices around the world. You could have a lobby with the globe, for example, and when you update that globe scene from your admin section, it's going to update all those lobbies at once. So you can both show the same visualization in multiple places or bespoke ones in each place.
Does the system provide export options for tweets and data or any types of reports?
Yeah, so the analytics tool itself has a load of kind of export capabilities. You can export all the data at Brandwatch, all the metadata provided, and you can do that on a chart level or across your whole data. There's a whole suite of things. And there's an API as well. We'll be announcing a new API soon that's even more powerful. So there's loads of ways of getting data out of the system and doing what you need to do with it.
Someone's asking about can you use queries if you're already a Brandwatch client? So yes, that's correct. It uses all the queries you've currently already set up within Brandwatch or any new ones.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, you have to set up queries and all that categorization in the Brandwatch Analytics platform to then use in Vizia. So these things really work well in tandem. So if you've been a client for a long time, you've got loads of queries set up, you customize all your data, got it exactly how you want, that's all going to be straight in Vizia out of the box. There's no need to set anything up brand new. It's really built on top of everything we've been doing up until now.
And the same goes for your categories and tags and all those kind of things you've set up already. Someone's asking about the Twitter fire hose and GNIP. So
yeah, we get all our data from Twitter. Well, we get it from GNIP, but we get Firehose in. We get all the tweets in. I don't understand that really. We get them in basically as they happen, straight into our system, add our own sentiment on top of it. So.
And we're a Twitter certified.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we're a Twitter certified partner.
Are all data sources via Brandwatch or are they third party? We kind of covered this before, but
so in terms of how we collect data?
I think the visualizations, is it just Brandwatch data or?
Oh, I see. So at the moment, we're just pulling in Brandwatch data and visualizations we've created. But with that URL scene, you have the ability to pull in others. And down the line, we'll be announcing more details about how you can pull in other third-party source information as well as Brandwatch.
I think we might have already covered this, but someone's asking, do search queries have to be created in Brandwatch or Vizia? So as we said, they are all created in the Brandwatch Analytics platform, so you have to have a subscription for that and create your queries there to get your data. What about Facebook and privacy settings?
Good question. Well, we only collect public data. That's something that's really important to us. We don't ever collect private data at all. So we only collect Facebook public posts. So predominantly that's from pages. So we collect lots of information from Facebook, but also we have Facebook channels where you can collect posts and information just from a particular Facebook page. I think that answers that really.
Yeah. How do you turn these top-level metrics into relevant stories that different departments can understand and act on?
It really depends on your organization and who you are and what you're trying to show, really. I mean, the way I would do it is to make that data stuff that's relevant to them. So if you have a marketing team, make sure those metrics you're showing are about their marketing metrics. They're related to the amount of mentions you're getting over time, related to a particular campaign, how the campaign compares to the overall amount of mentions. If you have a customer services team, make sure the data, filter it down to just being about customer complaints or customer issues or customer love stories or whatever it is, and bring that data through like that. So I think it's really about understanding what each department is going to need and customize visualizations for them. And as you've seen, it's very easy to do, and if you've already got that kind of thing set up in Brandwatch, it's even easier to do.
I think that's quite a difficult question to answer sort of in general, but we're always happy to consult with you on your specific use case and work with you to find and set up what you need to be of value to you. Are the visualizations optimized for touchscreen?
Yeah, so this is completely responsive and fluid, as I mentioned. So all of these visualizations scale, so they'll work on a tablet, a phone, as well as a big screen display. In terms of touch, the admin section you saw there was completely we've optimized for mobile, so it works really nicely on a tablet. It's a really good feeling actually to have a tablet in front of a few screens and customize them there and see them change on the fly, like having a really impressive remote control. But also the elements of interactivity you saw, like being able to move the globe or look at how many mentions are on a particular day on a line graph. You can do those by touch as well, just as easily.
I think we'll be adding more touch integration.
Yeah, in the future. Yeah.
Are we offering trials of Vizia to existing customers?
I don't think we're particularly offering trials at the moment, but if you want to be involved more and find out more about it, then do talk to a sales representative, and I'm sure they can work something out regarding that.
It's quite a difficult thing to trial because obviously you have to set up the displays and have the physical setup, but we're happy to discuss. Will it work on Google Glass?
Good question. I wish. No, for the simple fact that we don't have a Google Glass device to try it on. Although saying that, it's quite interesting. We're experimenting with lots of new bits of hardware because we think there's a lot of room for growing this kind of thing. So we have been playing with devices like the Leap Motion, if you're aware of it, for interactivity, as well as touchscreen as well. So we're looking at a lot of exciting and interesting piece of hardware. Maybe Google Glass in the future, but maybe we'll wait until that's out there in the wild more.
Another question about query building, which I think we've already covered, but does it work with Boolean operators?
Yeah. So it works with all Brandwatch analytics stuff.
Is there a limit for the number of keywords?
Well, there's a character limit we have on that search string, which is over
4,000.
Yeah, it's just under 5,000 characters you can have. So it's pretty big. You have to go quite some way to fill that up. So there's not directly a limit on the amount of keywords you can have, but there is an upper limit on the amount of characters you can use. But I mean, most queries are coming in at a couple of hundred max. So
yeah, we're not like some platforms that do only let you have a certain number of keywords. It's all completely free, so you can write whatever up to the character limit. Are most of your clients big company brands, or do you have experience with non-profits where data being looked at is not necessarily a case of customers complaining, but more to aid delivery?
Yeah, we do actually. I've sort of mainly been focusing on that kind of customer issue kind of thing, just because it's quite a popular use case and it's a good reason for having this real-time stuff. But we do work with non-profits as well, looking at kind of charity type thing, especially for sort of crisis management and aid, as you mentioned. So, when there's an earthquake or something going on, using some of this to see how that's developing and the conversations and where they're happening in real time is something that we also focus on. So if you have anything particularly in mind, do get in touch. I'm always interested to hear other ways people might want to use this. But we've built it to be very flexible so that when people have new ways of using this thing, they can bring that to us. To kind of maybe demonstrate a little bit of that, slightly off topic, is a client rang me up the other day and showed how using Google Docs presentation tool, you can create a URL scene that will cycle through a presentation and put that up on a screen instantly. So already our customers are finding ways of using this tool that we hadn't even thought of yet, because there's that level of flexibility there.
What type of service level agreement or uptime comes with Vizia?
Good question. It's very similar to the one in Brandwatch, so it depends on what you have. I think our typical service level agreements are like 95, 99% uptime or something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're very high levels of uptime. And obviously with this, because it's such a publicly displayed thing and it requires information at such a fast level, we're very keen on having a very high level of uptime. So it really depends. Get in touch with your sales representative and they can talk you through that service level agreement. But
there's also full support for all our customers.
Yeah, training that comes with this and all that kind of stuff as well.
This is the last question, so if you've got any other questions, please get them in now. Could you give an estimated price per display?
We're not talking about pricing at the moment, mainly because there's a number of different ways this thing can be priced. So it's not as quite as simple as what's the price per display. So if you want to get in contact with us, we can kind of take you through your options and kind of what's available.
Yeah, there's a one-off setup fee, and then a sort of it's packaged in
an ongoing
groups of displays.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's everything. Oh no, one more. When is this going to be available?
So it's available now. If you get in contact with us, there's normally a little bit of turnaround time to customize the visualizations and stuff, but we can start all those conversations in now, really.
What is the delay in post retrieving?
Depends on the platform, really. Twitter is a matter of seconds. It comes straight through. Other things, like a less popular blog, might be a bit slower, but it really depends on the platform. But Vizia pulls in data as quickly as Brandwatch Analytics does, so if you're used to that, then you'll have no problems here, but it's pretty fast overall.
Yeah, I
considering
think
we're trying to cover the whole web.
The sort of average is lesser important, maybe 3 times a day, but important news sites maybe every hour, every half an hour.
Oh, like the
minutes,
the things like BBC and Sky and Wall Street Journal and stuff. That stuff's going all the time.
Okay, I think that's it.
That's good. We're about on time.
If you do have any more questions, then feel free to contact us. Here's our contact details. Tweet us or email us, or tweet Glenn or I directly, and we'll be happy to respond. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope it's been useful.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Yes, just do get in contact with us. We'd love to hear more from you about how you want to use this, the kind of things you're thinking about and excited about. And as Jasmine said, if you thought this is interesting, please tweet about it, get it out there. We think it's we're really proud of it and really excited that people are finally going to get to be able to use this new and innovative product.
Thanks very much.